Okay, thought we'd talk about a book called Injection by Warren Ellis. This is published by Image, and I thought I'd take a chance on it because I wanted something different from sort of standard Marvel, DC type books, and this sounded up my street. The book is one that's had a lot of, I'd say, confused reviews by people, saying that it's hard to understand and they're not quite sure what's going on. I think what they really mean to say is it's not just laid out for you sort of idiot proofs, and you actually have to think about the plot and be involved in the story, and it leaves you with something to digest afterwards, which I think was one of the big pluses to this book. The story surrounds a group of people who some time ago were put into a think tank by the world's governments. They each come from a different background, so you've got a scientist, a spy, a computer expert, hacker, and a detective. And they are effectively told, just come up with something to change the world. And they're given carte blanche to do that. I don't think they've got too much funding because their office is above a chip shop, but they've got freedom to do as they wish. And as you learn through the book, because it's told with the current story juxtaposed to the past with sort of flashback pages, they decided to create a new kind of artificial intelligence and place it on the internet to give it somewhere to sort of breathe. But it was infused with folklore and magic, and there is explanations in the book on that, and I won't go into it now because that'll ruin the point of you reading the story. But what happens is, obviously, because it's intelligent, it has a mind of its own, and it wants to do things to the world, and they are now dealing with the consequences of that. And you see how it's affected the characters. And the main character you're with is the lady scientist, and she has been most deeply affected by it as she effectively puts herself into a sanitarium because of the things she's seen, these sort of horrors and folklore legends that this intelligence is bringing back. And she runs a department, I'm going to say by choice, but you have to read the story to understand why it's sort of a hesitant by choice, that deals with those things. Now, the plot and the writing and the art, they're all really good and they all meld together really well. And the feel I get from the book is it's of those old sort of 1980s, 1970s science fiction shows, a bit like the old Doctor Who's and that, where there's less of this da-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum sort of music playing, and it's all very much sort of sinister, bleak outlook. So, you know, it's got that feel of that bleak desperation, which I think is much better than any sort of rousing score or action sequence if you're looking for a sort of sci-fi horror blend, because that's the most scary thing, is the sort of feeling of helplessness, and that's what comes across in this book, is that these people have created something and they're helpless against it. I think it's a great read if you like that sort of TV show or film and you're fed up with sort of the constant action sequences in action films, and you want something you can read that you might have to go back and read a page again to make sure you've understood it properly, and it gives you something to digest and something to think about. I certainly wanted to immediately go and buy the second volume, and I'll talk about that to see if once I receive it, to see if it's any good, and it keeps up the sort of tension. But this is just a good story. Whether or not it could be made into a film, I'm unsure of, because you'd have to make sure you got across the feeling of dread with the book. But it's an excellent alternative to sort of standard superhero graphic novels and fiction.